Hi, hello, welcome back to today's video. I am Bekah Jo, and today we are recreating a look from Jessica Dearly. She is a very sweet YouTuber and Instagrammer. She does very soft and beautiful makeup looks, and she did one recently with the ABH Nouveau palette, and it turned out so pretty and so soft, yet like ever so slightly colorful. It looked beautiful on her. I don't have the Nouveau palette, but the shades she used reminded me of my Sydney Grace Tiny Marbles palette. This, I think, is a little more colorful than the Nouveau palette overall, but if you have this palette, it might kind of scratch the itch if you were curious about the Nouveau palette. So anyway, let's do a little Sydney Grace Sunday. Let's do a little bit of makeup today. Please forgive the casual appearance today. Today is a working from home day, and you know, comfort is the name of the game on a day like today. I am using my Kingdom Come Home Second Skin Organic Liquid Foundation in the shade 1. I pumped some onto the back of my hand. Right now on my skin, I just have my tallow, my whipped tallow from Kingdom Come Home. But I wore this combination yesterday, and using this tiny little spatula brush that I picked up on Amazon and really just like sheared out the foundation, and it looked lovely. So I am excited to give this combination another go today. I'm going to use my damp sponge to blend this in. So one thing, if you are new to Jessica's channel, Jessica does very soft looks, and she like explains this, especially in the video where I am recreating her look for today. She does very soft looks. That's one thing that I really enjoy about her channel, is that she does the makeup that she likes. Like, she's not just trying to do the same makeup that somebody else is doing. It's funny in a recreating video, but like as far as her like everyday makeup, like she knows what she likes and she tries new products, and she really enjoys focusing on base products. Again, she explains this in her video. Like she really likes foundation, concealer, and blush and those sorts of things. But she's not like piling on makeup just because that's what people do, sort of thing. Like she knows her makeup style and she really embraces it, and I like that about her. I'm gonna use a little bit of my Tower 28 concealer. I'm gonna blend that in with my damp sponge. So let me know in the comments how you see the ABH Nouveau palette. I know it's been out for a little while now. I personally have never been like super intrigued by it. I think to some degree there's like a little bit of nostalgia with the ABH eyeshadow palettes, and that's okay. It was never something that I got into. I mean, I think the color story is pretty. I think it's more muted, and I tend to like a little bit punchier, a little bit more colorful. So I think that for me is where the Tiny Marbles palette is a good balance for me. I think both palettes really have like an earthiness to them. And in Sydney Grace Tiny Marbles, we definitely have, you know, these earthier brown shades with a little bit of green. We have more shades, I believe, in this palette than in the Nouveau as well. So that helps that we can have more variety because we have a higher number of shades in here. But the Nouveau palette has this like pop of lilac, and so I think that's definitely where we can see a comparison. Okay, I need to get back to base. We'll get back to the eyeshadow. Using my Cocoa contour stick from Mama Max, and then gonna blend that in. So the video of Jessica's she's using the Nouveau palette to decide if it's one she wants to keep in her collection. She did a pretty decent eyeshadow palette declutter recently, and in that she just decided that she was holding on to palettes that weren't her style. And so she did, I mean, she's pretty harsh with it, but she let go of several palettes that just weren't something she was interested in. And she made a small collection of palettes that she wasn't sure if she wanted to keep. So the Nouveau palette was in that bucket of like, I'm not sure if this is something I'm going to hold on to. So it was fun to watch her video and see the conclusion that she came to after trying the kind of pop of color that she used in the look. I'm going to use a little bit of my Luminous Light Face Palette from Sydney Grace. This is in the light variety. So just using this bronzer that I am so glad that this is working so well for me lately. I don't typically reach for this palette, the bronzer specifically, in the winter time, but it has been scratching that itch. It's like the only bronzer I'm reaching for right now. And I know that Alexa has picked up the Luminous Light palette, and she, I think, is really enjoying the bronzer as well. I'm going to do my eyeshadow primer and my brows, and I'll be right back. Okay, brows are done, primer is on, and I'm ready to jump into Tiny Marvels. So I don't remember if this is exactly the same brush that Jessica used in her video, but this is a Sigma E54, and I think it's at least a similar shape to the one that she used. She used it for the 2 primary shades on her lid. So we're going to try that today and see how we like it, especially on the top lid. I am just going to follow with what Jessica did in her video. I may take a little creative liberty on the lower lash, but we're going to start with Jewel Bee, which is this beautiful lilac-y matte shade. And I know that the shade is going to require some building, but it's so pretty. And it's such a pretty springy kind of shade. Again, this look for Jessica was on the more vibrant side, but she still made the look suited to her. Like, it didn't look out of place, in my opinion. I thought it was really pretty. She just has a way of making any eye look work for her in what she likes in her style. And I don't remember, I have to be honest, I didn't come up with the like palette dupe between Tiny Marvels and the Nouveau palette, but I don't remember what video it was. It was a creator, not one that I like watch all the time. And a video from a few months ago that I saw. She was doing a video of, if you have this palette, then you don't need this palette kind of thing. And so that was essentially a dupe palette type of video. And these 2 palettes was something that she mentioned. And at that point, it kind of clicked for me like, oh, I don't need to consider the Nouveau palette because I have and love my Tiny Marvels palette. I'm just using a clean, fluffy brush on the edge of that shadow. Okay, the next shade we're going to use is right next to it. This is the shade Marvel. This is such a pretty rose gold metallic kind of shade. The way that Jessica used her shade in the Nouveau, she made it softer, so it still had a sheen to it, but it wasn't like full-on metallic. So that's part of the reason I want to stick with the brush today. So I'm going to dip the brush in. We could also, in theory, use Meadowhawk over here, but this has a little more pinky, peachy punch to it. And I think just the rose gold will be suitable for what we want today. So this shade is going to be on the outer portion of the eye. I loved the shape that Jessica went with in this look. Like, I don't know that it's something I would have thought of myself. Just a reminder that, like, whether you're into neutral shadows or into colorful shadows, like, you can still have fun and change up what you're doing with A, what you already have, and B, with things like shape. And if it's not eyeshadow, like, you can try slightly different placements of blush, bronzer, and highlighter and those sorts of things. It's easy to kind of get stuck in a mindset of, well, this is what worked and this is what I like, but we can change things up, even just subtly. I'm just wiping that brush off and then using the same brush to kind of blend out the edges of that shade. Sydney Grace metallic shades are so fun because often you can just blend them out and make them a one and done. And I think that makes them very versatile. Going back in with my clean, fluffy brush. Again, just kind of on the outside. Not doing anything remarkable. Just blending that into my skin. The next shade we're going to use is Fire Butts, which is this gorgeous goldy green kind of shade. I think the one in the Nouveau palette that Jessica used might have been like a little bit softer of a shade, but the way that she blended the lavender with the rose gold shade using the greeny kind of metallic that was in the palette, oh, I loved it. It really like brought things together. I mean, it looked pretty before, but just added another level to the look. That is so pretty. Jessica, can you do more like, I don't know if you're watching this, but can you do more like just playing with makeup types of videos? I think that your creativity is so fun, especially now that I'm like following along and recreating. So fun. I'm gonna take my What's Up Beauty R101 and pick up the shade Scarab. This is a shade that looks pretty similar color-wise, especially between Nouveau and Tiny Marvels. And Jessica used this very softly. I think I'm going to be a little bit punchier with it, but we're just going to line the outer portion of the top lash line with this shade. I guess because it's metallic blending onto metallic, it kind of blends into itself, into the other shade texture-wise. Like, I like the effect we're getting here. Because usually I have a matte on the outer corner. And so something like this would stand off it a little bit more. But now it's a color difference more than a texture difference. That's pretty. That's essentially the top lash done. So let's get a little funky with the lower lash. I'm going to take the same shade Scarab on the same brush and put this on the outer corner of the lower lash. It's gonna be a little punchy. I don't mind that. Again, I'm working from home today, so it can be a little bit more bold in my look. Wiped off that brush. I'm going into Fire Butts now, and I want to use this on the inner portion of the lower lash. That is so fun. Colorful, yet not like in your face kind of loud, at least in my opinion. I'm gonna go add mascara and then we'll come back to do blush and lips. Mascara is on. For blush today, I want to use my Adele Cream Blush. This is in the shade Pink Melon. This is just such a favorite blush these days. It's a pinky, corally. It has a splash of color and a splash of neutral to it. The formula is really beautiful. The packaging is so luxurious. I love it so much. The packaging, like just the experience of picking up the product and using it is so pleasant. But it's like, I think I said this in a recent video, it's just like, it's such a good awake color on my skin and I really like it. For lips, I did also recently pick up a lip tint from Adele, the same brand as the blush. This is the shade Bubblegum, and it's supposed to be a little bit corally, but it's on the sheer side, that being a lip tint. So I want to use this today, but I think I'm going to use a splash of liner underneath. And let's use Elevate Beauty Mom Era. A very soft liner, didn't want anything too punchy. Going in with the lip tint. It has the same luxurious packaging. I'm so delighted by that in the Adele line. I do want to use a highlighter and I know which one I want to use. Let me find it. Okay, don't mind these single shadows underneath, but this is the highlighter that I want to use. This came in my Sydney Grace mystery box. It's the shade Taffy Twist. It's such a pretty peachy champagne shade. It's so pretty. And these Sydney Grace highlighters are pigmented. We don't need much Just gonna add a little bit to the tops of my cheek. And I don't know how to make highlighter show up all that well on camera here, so forgive me. It's probably just because my lights are facing me. In day-to-day life, when you are sitting, you know, kind of near a window and the light comes in from over here, it's really fun to have a little bit of highlighter on. Okay, here we are. Here is today's final look for Sydney Grace Sunday, wearing my Sydney Grace and Tiny Marvels palette, which was a collaboration with Mel Thompson. Today's look was inspired by Jessica Dearly. Like I said, I'll have her channel and the videos that I've referenced in the description below. If you're looking for more Sydney Grace Sunday content, please check out my friend Jana. I'll make sure she's listed and linked in the description as well. She keeps up with Sydney Grace Sunday much more better than I do. And her looks are always so pretty and come together so well. Let me know in the description what you think of today's look. Do you have another palette in mind that you could use to recreate something along these lines? Doesn't have to be exact, but maybe it reminds you of some other palette. Let us know in the comments. I would be very curious. Our Bible verse to close us out of today's video is going to be 3 John, and there's only one chapter in John, so verse 11. Beloved, do not imitate what is evil, but what is good. He who does good is of God, but he who does evil has not seen God. Thank you once again for joining me for today's video, and I hope to see you in the next one.